Hey guys, Mr. Robinhood here. This is going to be a quick little video on how to use FinViz in the screener that it has available to everyone for free, which is pretty fantastic as well. And I'm going to give you 10 criteria that you can use to whittle down, as you can see, from a total of 7,100 stocks into a list of 50 or less stronger fundamental plays. First, I'd like to just say, thank you guys for all your support up to this point. The page is at more than 500 likes, and it's really starting to get a little bit of momentum, and I can't thank you guys enough. But anyways, let's get into it. So the first three things we're going to look at are the descriptive, and we're going to want to have a price over 20. That's just kind of a rule for me to look over fundamental stocks. Personally, I think stocks under 20 have a little bit of a higher probability to get manipulated through external factors, news, yada, yada, yada. So the second thing we're going to look at is the average volume, and we're going to want that to be over 500,000, and that just shows us that it's a well-traded company. And that took us from 7,100 plus down to 1,200 already. Now we want the float short to be low. So essentially what this means is a low float indicates that not a lot of people are betting against a particular stock, which is good news for us. I'm going to actually head to my custom kind of overview here, which has, obviously, as you can see, a lot more things in it. So that's pretty much it for the descriptive. So now we're going to move on to the basis of what we're going to look at, and that's going to be the fundamental factors. And the first thing is the price over free cash flow, and we want that to be under 20. So essentially what that does is keeps us from paying too much for a stock. It's still a little bit of a high ceiling because, as you can see, you can go lower if you want. Feel free to. Feel free to actually, whittle down these to a smaller list of things if you would like to figure out, what works for you. But we also want the EPS growth over the past 5 years to be positive. So just using these 5 things in itself, you're already bringing the list down to under 100, which is good. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the EPS growth next year, and we also want that to be positive. So as you can see, when you start adding these factors that are very fundamentally strong, you start to slowly whittle it down versus vastly whittle it down with the kind of initial things that you're starting to put in. But essentially what this does is you want companies that are growing their earnings. That's pretty plain and simple. Trends aren't likely to continue, if the growths are stagnant. And another thing you want to look at is the return on equity, and you want that to be positive. And you also want your return on investment to be positive. So essentially, these are 2 other factors that you're looking at that are making essentially a statement for the company that they're making money and they're not losing it, which is good for both you and the company. So that means the stock's in a pretty good standpoint. Now, another thing you want to look at is their debt to equity ratio. Now, where is this? And you want that to be under 1. And why you want it to be under 1 is anything under 1 is a good thing because that means their equity is, in proportion with their debt. Anything larger than 1 is not good news. So the lower the better. 0 is ideal. But that will cover it actually for the fundamental factors. And now with the technical factor that I'll throw in there, just because it's something I like to do, and you can choose to use a different technical factor if you would like. But I think a good one is a price above the 50 moving average. And as you can see, we kind of whittled it down to 53 plays, which is pretty fantastic. You can filter it by multiple different sets of a variety of factors on things that you think are more important than others. Like, for example, you could use, the lowest PE ratio. You could do it by sector, market cap, literally anything you want to look at in terms of your investing style you can do. And I think that's a pretty fantastic thing that FinViz gives you the ability to do, and especially since it is free of charge. Obviously, you can pay more for their site, and I think if I do well over the next couple of months, I'll definitely subscribe to kind of customize things a little bit and give you guys some snapshots at things that people without a subscription wouldn't get the pleasure of seeing. But anyways, you can filter and look at different overviews of sets of things. For example, you could look at the chart of every one of these picks, which I think is pretty helpful. This is kind of where I like to view things, because you can get a lot of stock plays and look at a lot of their charts. And if you start to understand like chart patterns, dojis, and you already have strong fundamental plays, you're going to do pretty well. But anyways, I didn't want to make this video too long. As always, thank you for your support so much, and I hope this helps you guys out a little bit. Feel free to leave me any feedback, but I will see you guys next time, and good luck.